Hello there, and welcome to the Rogue Podcast, a Star Wars show. AHSOKA Episode 4, Fallen Jedi, has released, and I'm pulling my own ear. There we go. Has released, and we're going to break it down for you and review it here today. We have myself, Jake. We've got John, also known as Lego CPA. Follow him on YouTube, Instagram, wherever it is you're looking for him. We've got...
You just outed me.
What's that?
You just outed my first name reveal.
All right, Theory. We got CJ, who doesn't have his own YouTube channel, so don't worry about following
respect
him
my
anywhere
wishes.
else. I'm sorry, I forgot. My bad. And we've got Blonde Guy. Do you care if I use your first name?
I don't care.
Okay, we got John. And John, do you have your own channel? As
You
well,
mean
correct?
James?
Or Jim. I'm sorry, Jim. It was bad.
You're fired, dude. Next,
start.
someone
Fired.
else host.
You have your own YouTube channel as well, correct?
I do, but I don't have anything on
Origami?
there just yet. Yeah.
Yep. And then David will be joining us shortly. Apparently, he's not home. All right. Episode 4 is released, The Final Jedi, where we last left our crew, our cast. AHSOKA and Sabine have gotten to the planet. What would I call this planet again?
Seco?
No.
Seppo?
No.
Something with an S.
It was
Here, let me look at the...
Deb.
Harris says it right at the end.
Yeah. I don't recall. But anyways, they're on this
I'll
planet.
figure it out.
They're crashed, working on repairs, while Balin and Shin have sent a party out to welcome them, not so welcomingly. And we know that Morgan Elsbeth is readying her ship to try to leave for the galaxy where Thrawn is. I felt like in this 37-minute episode-ish that we had, that there quite a bit happened, especially with our characters and their development. While the story more or less picked up from where it was and just moved to the ship leaving, was there a ton that was accomplished just in the story, the overall story? I would not argue there was, but I would argue that a lot happened for our characters today. And that's the kind of short story that I like. I love seeing character development and character conflict. How'd you guys feel about this episode?
Little nostalgia fest at the end.
Mixed.
At the end, definitely.
Jump straight to the end, yeah.
Yeah, definitely with some nostalgia at the end. I'm excited to see where that goes in the next episode. You can definitely see why the cast would say that episode 5 was their favorite. And you can see where this
Or
is heading.
Rosario especially.
Rosario Dawson says she just loved episode 5. So I'm guessing she's going to have quite a bit going on with Hayden Christensen and who knows who else, while we're also probably going to see Sabine and Balin, Shin, Morgan, I imagine, off in their galaxy as well. So we'll see what happens here. Maybe the whole entire episode will just be Ahsoka. I would not be opposed to that either. So, but that's episode 5. We can say episode 5 theory for the end of the podcast. What do you guys think about this one?
Someone else say something that liked it more than I did. CJ.
I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. I appreciate
good moments.
appreciate it moving the story forward. Appreciate the development between Sabine and kind of bringing her inner conflict into it.
Mhm.
And then this is maybe a little different. I thought the choreography, like watching it, I was like, man, this is way better than the Book of Boba Fett and the Mandalorian.
A lot of stuff that we saw was better.
They need
Now,
to
there
keep
were-
these people.
That's a low bar, though.
It was
is a low
definitely
bar.
better. There was one point where Sabine and Ahsoka just came out of the ship and started fighing.
And she
Are
did
you
that
thinking-
role.
I
The
knew you were
role-
going to say something about that, Jake.
The role didn't bother me so much. What really bothered me was the guy that was shooting at her, just standing perfectly still. Here, I'll demonstrate like this.
You know,
For like
I'm
5
gonna-
seconds, like, bro.
I'm going to stand
like-
right
it's not
here
work.
just so that Ahsoka can pull a guy in front of me.
Yeah. So that was a little annoying. But, I mean, like I said, I very much enjoyed the
For-
episode. So
I was-
didn't hate it much.
I knew it was a little unrealistic, but in the moment, I was like, man, I really hope Hugh Yang pulls out some training sabers.
That
Oh,
would have been awesome.
I thought so too, but he had no way to get to
it
them.
would
They
have
were in
made
the ship.
sense for him to be carrying them on him at the time.
Exactly. He
I
had no way to
would've-
get to them.
I was most Setos, Seatos.
Say those
So I was
systems.
most impressed with Hu Yang, man. I wasn't surprised, but I was just most impressed because
You guess an HK droid?
he got the moves.
Jedi
Yeah.
programming.
I know it makes sense. Like I'm not surprised, but I'm still impressed.
Yeah.
And I will say, as far as choreography goes, I ironically enjoy seeing Sabine and Shin fight more than anyone, just because we know Sabine's levels are really low, Shin's are kind of high, or
Higher than
medium,
Sabine, at
medium
least.
high, definitely high, yeah. So she has the dark side, so they're always a little bit
Exactly.
more like, really, like, come on, bring
But
it on.
Sabine had
type
to rely
vibes.
on her Mandalorian training
Yeah.
to level the playing field.
So I thought, as far as choreographically, their fight is better, just because they can be a little more scrappy and it makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely did. And the one thing I said is, when we can't cut back to it, I was like, they've been fighting this whole time.
I know, I thought that too.
I was like, I
They're
want
gonna
to
be really tired.
They've got to
I was
be
like, how has she
exhausted.
been holding her ground the last 5 minutes? I wanna
But
know.
not necessarily. It doesn't mean that they were traveling linearly.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
ignore that, or whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it.
But that fight was cool. I also found it interesting that Hu Yang very much pointedly said, "Stay together. You work better when you're together."
Mhm.
And immediately they split up, and of course something bad happens. Whereas
so-
if they fought together, something different may have happened.
Right. So
do
before
you
they
say?
split up,
Mhm.
are you gonna talk about Ahsoka's small little skirmish with
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Marek.
so Merrick, so your predictions
Oh yeah.
and thoughts on that reveal, or
The first
reveal,
thing I said
you want to
was,
call it.
when we saw him, is I said, guys, everyone here, there's one of two things. He's masked because he's someone we know, or he's masked because they want to keep it TV-14 and gives Ahsoka a Force user to kill.
Yeah.
It's a character.
Oh, you said that?
Yeah.
I don't remember you saying that.
Yeah. At least if I didn't say it here, I said it somewhere else in a
Yeah.
conversation with somebody. But that's just something that they do. I mean, same reason stormtroopers wear helmets.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what was I gonna say? Oh, that fight with Marek, though. Some cool things in there. Did you guys notice anything interesting?
I mean, it was the same style as Kenobi.
Yep.
And
Well, I mean, the fight at the end, but
yeah,
the lightsaber above the head was very Anakin versus Dooku.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool. Just because, she's relying on some of the things that Anakin taught her. And this was a very Anakin-centric episode in a lot of ways. A lot of discussion around it and things like that.
I like
go
how
ahead.
they pretty much stuck to her, just like, taking a moment, getting
Yeah,
in touch with the
focus on
Force,
yourself.
and then just getting it done.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
there was-
think about how in touch with the Force she was there. Did you guys really think about that scene?
well, it
'Cause
was just
Rachel and
like,
Rachel
it was,
and I kept watching it over and over again to figure out what happened. So as Marek's saber is spinning and gets
she's
faster and
going
faster and
around
faster,
it.
she
She's
didn't go. She
Well,
went
through it, like
she timed
the-
it to go through
yeah.
the rotation
yeah.
and slice through them, very similarly to what Kenobi did against Maul. Spoilers.
exactly. Yep. Yeah.
Rebels, and it was so cool.
Yeah.
And what Maul did against Qui-Gon. In
Not
a way.
what Maul did against Qui-Gon.
I mean,
Maul's was all fast-paced
Yes and no.
aggression.
well, no, when he took
Ahsoka's
out
was
Qui-Gon,
slow
he
and
found a weak
focused.
spot and hit it, so his
Oh, yeah.
guard was down and then stabbed
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, but Ahsoka's, I like what Jake is saying. Ahsoka's is a lot more like Kenobi's, where he's just like, okay, I'm just going to stay in here, wait for the perfect moment, and then just do my thing, and it'll be over. Like, I don't need to worry about fighting.
Now, there were some theories that did come true about this. Some people thought that Marek might have been a resurrected character. They thought maybe it was Resurrected Starkiller or something along those lines.
Yeah.
I don't think it's
What?
Starkiller, but it definitely is
No.
a resurrected being because, I mean,
No,
the
it's-
green mist was
They were- It was
Yeah,
Night
it's-
Sister. It was
Yeah,
just
it
a
was
Night
just
Sister.
yeah,
I think they
it
were
was
just making him a Night Sister
magic.
drone. Yeah, they're just
Yeah,
like, oh,
yeah.
he's a
well,
nobody.
I think it was like a dead body that they had.
Yeah.
turned
Yeah,
into
potentially,
animal.
but
Because
if
if you
it was
play
just
Jedi Fallen
nothing.
Order, that's what happens when you kill the dead Night Sisters is
Yes.
Misty
Yeah.
and stuff. So
And it
yeah,
was,
but
I guess,
it's a nobody though. I'm
guess
not saying
it-
it was.
I guess he whatever was using magic and not the Force to like throw his lightsaber and bring it back in the other episode.
True, it would
Well-
have to be because That would be
I mean,
wicked for them to imbue a resurrected being with the Force.
Right.
so that's something to consider here, John.
And don't you
I don't think we should consider it because we're gonna.
Don't you think Ahsoka would have been like, wait a second, I don't sense any Force users bringing a lightsaber towards me.
No, the Force and the magic that the Night Sisters use,
It's
it's still the
tangential.
Force.
Yeah.
It's still the Force. It's just communicating with the Force and using it in a different way.
True. I guess you're right. Yeah.
So I think he would.
But I
still
feel like
be
it's
able
a
to-
semi-perversion of the Force.
Yeah.
Like it's in the same realm as dark side in my mind, but it's not quite like dark side.
Yeah, I
I
don't
think.
know if it's quite as because the dark side is so self-focused and just all about bringing power and desire to oneself. I don't think that the Night Sister magic so much revolves around that. But I think it definitely uses some elements of it. So, which is an interesting conversation because you think about the Force, you think light side, dark side, and that's really all there is. So, can this other thing really exist? We'll see. Maybe it's
Green
not the
side.
Force.
Yes.
No, the green side.
Was anyone just like, oh, darn it, like wasted character, or did anyone
A little
really
bit.
mind?
I felt that. I was hoping for more personally, but I understand that, like I said, they needed someone for Ahsoka to kill off on screen.
Yeah.
That
I
makes sense.
personally didn't feel that way because I never expected it to be someone. And I feel like we have enough characters in this show already. I don't need another person to really detract from what's going on. We only have 4 episodes left. So I personally didn't need another character to add to this.
But would you have felt better if they at least like had like a small like 10-second thing where Ahsoka like at least makes a comment on, oh, I guess this was blah blah blah, and instead of just like dead body on the ground?
It would have just been a throw in for me. I don't think that
Yeah,
person
okay.
matters. He's just a minion.
I think it would have been wasted time to try and add anything to him, honestly.
I imagine all of you noticed in which part of their Sabine and her fight. Yeah, so it was before, kind of like right at the end of their fight when Shin disarms Sabine, and then she's kind of standing at her, and then Sabine does the pah, and it like slaps her in the face kind of thing.
That's something we talked about.
Force slap.
Do you think? Oh, I took that differently. Actually, I took that as Shin like reacting, expecting something, but didn't get it. Like she defensively jerked back, but
I have
nothing
to watch
happened.
it again, but I think
I'm
it
gonna
was
pull it up.
something. I think it was something. Here, let me share.
But then why would she say you have no power? Like, oh, I was expecting
Because it was
something,
just so
but nothing
weak.
It was
came.
so weak. Yeah,
Okay,
that's kind of
that
how I
could be
took
that
it.
too. Okay, fair.
Let's see. I'm trying to find it.
Can you share it on the screen?
Once I find it, where is it? Yeah, here we go. Okay. Present. Okay.
So I definitely thought it was like she tried to push. There's just a little slap.
Demonetization. Here we come. All right. So here we
Okay.
go. She's putting her
Pushes.
hand out.
Yeah,
So
there's
she,
definitely
like,
something.
She recoils back.
Yeah. Can you hear it? John, listen. Do you hear the Force?
You could put subtitles on and it'll
I
describe
hear
it.
something.
I'll say force slap.
I have subtitles on, but I don't have audio descriptions on.
This is definitely getting demonetized.
Or we could get shut down. Is the other thing. Here, sorry, I can't.
Yep, it's fine.
Oh,
Loud.
here we go.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
there was
there's definitely
definitely like a bowl.
It's weak. It's weak.
Okay.
There's-
Okay. So
take it off the screen. Take it off the screen.
Ah, the roof.
Disney has entered the podcast.
Yeah, so
We
mouse
just
pops up.
gained 2 viewers
Which is that the first time she's connected with the Force? To our
on
understanding,
screen. Yeah, on screen.
on screen it is for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, a funny thing, Rachel and I just watched the episode, The Trials of the Darksaber, where Ezra and Kanan are training Sabine in the Force.
Mm-hmm.
It's some pretty interesting stuff, just how he talks about her her inability to open herself up to the Force, and just the way her Mandalorian culture is just so independent,
Okay, so listen to this though. I mean, there is that sound effect is a dead giveaway, but the audio description says she thrusts her hand out, causing her opponent to flinch.
Hmm.
However, nothing happens.
That's how I took it.
That's how I took it too.
Let me get the audio.
That
just
she was
pulled up.
expecting it, and then she realized, oh, she can't.
So
use
she
the
was like
force.
bracing.
Oh, you poor little thing! You don't even have force
Yeah.
powers.
Yeah, before realizing nothing's happening, causing her enemy to flinch defensively, suddenly realizing nothing's happening.
I do think. Do you think she
What was the
actually?
sound?
It was for us, I think.
I think it was to try and like draw you in to make you hope, so that when she does in the last episode, you get excited.
Or it was to say like she did reach out to the Force. I'm sure. Sure, wasn't a total dupe. She had
Just
she had her
listening.
little, yeah, but she at least.
All right,
reached out
so
for
we're
it.
in two of us think that it was the Force, or at least on our first watch through. I thought it was the Force.
I at least think it was
Okay.
a little tiny something.
Okay, then tell me this. Okay, obviously you're in a fight. You know your emotions and adrenaline are up. How do you go from not being able to even slightly move a teacup to being able to slap someone with a force push?
The same way that a mom can lift the car off her baby.
Yeah.
Adrenaline, instincts, just knowing. I don't know how I'm doing this, but I'm connecting to something. within
So
myself.
every Jedi before they go into battle should just take a massive shot of adrenaline.
Well, no,
and
because
just
it's
be-
different
no.
for every person. Some people need to quiet themselves and focus and center. Some people need to be pushed in the heat of the moment, and that's how they center. I feel like that would make sense for Sabine to center that way. But I don't know. I took it as the Force. Jake, you took it as the Force. CJ,
I mean, we may get some
you took it as not the Force.
explanation on that eventually.
I don't know if we will. I feel like it'll be like what CJ said, that at the very end she'll use the Force and they won't really say. She's not going to tell Ahsoka, I used the Force in the middle of the battle. Are you proud of me?
Yeah.
No, well, now that she's dead, like, I can't believe she died.
She's not dead.
Well, she's not dead, but you don't think she died?
I don't think so.
I mean, I don't want her to have died, but like, how else do we take that?
The same way
She's been there
She
before.
didn't die last time.
Yeah.
So did
It was
Ezra.
Someone pulled her. Ezra pulled her in. Are we supposed to believe that someone pulled her in, or that place
possible.
is just special?
Anakin.
I don't think they killed Ahsoka.
Well,
I mean, there was definitely someone there waiting for her.
Yeah, but he
Yeah.
didn't. Based on what we see, Anakin didn't pull her in.
Based on what we see, yes. I mean, I imagine this next episode will explain how she's there.
I hope so.
We always see though is her waking up after being
Yeah.
passed out. So
Anakin was just standing there, 15 feet away, like,
Oh, fancy that you're here accidentally. I did not expect
Yeah.
this.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like I hope we get we just need a quick in my mind, we need a quick explanation.
Is there anything else we want to talk about? We're
We
only
should
20
talk
minutes in.
We should talk about the duel before we talk about Anakin.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
Netherworld.
I agree. So
Oh yeah, Balin and
Valen had some really interesting comments throughout this entire episode.
Okay, so I love how he's like, okay, I'm gonna wait here for Ahsoka, right? And we're gonna have some dialogue and a fight. But first, I'm gonna put my cloak back on and I'm gonna sit down just for dramatic.
Dude, the guy is very dramatic. Rachel even says it. She's like, this guy is always intense. He's always got some intense
there's
going.
no other way to explain that. He's like, I'm gonna put the cloak on, put the hood up, and sit down.
he's
Just
a
so that when
British.
Yeah,
He's
it
dramatic.
was a little nippy.
yeah.
It was cold. I did like the one
But
quote
then
that
he
he said.
just takes it right back off again, though, and he takes it right back off, and just for
Yeah, that was odd. At one point, he had said, we should make sure we get underway right away and try to get out of here. And Morgan says, is that fear that I sense in you or something like that? And he
Yeah,
says, no, it's just experience.
Experience.
yeah.
That was
He
cool.
knows. Everyone.
knows.
Yeah.
He knows.
Everyone knows Anakin, like he said, and this is Anakin's Padawan.
Mhm. Yeah,
You'd be silly to mess with Anakin's
Again,
Padawan.
we learn a little bit about him without learning anything about him, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's literally he's done nothing up until this moment, essentially.
Yeah.
Well, I guess
I
he
mean,
did kill some
episode
people in
one.
the beginning. Yeah, I forgot about that.
But you know, he had a relationship of some kind with Anakin. He knows Anakin's Vader, which I didn't, I imagine that some survivors of Order 66 may have known,
Mhm.
because it would kind of make sense that they would find out.
Like Reva.
And anyone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
Reva. But I feel like those rumors get out as much as the Vader and Palpatine try to hide that, but they learn about those kinds of things, especially if you knew them. But I really liked
Over
how
a
he
drink of
tried.
Jawa juice, you share some things.
Yeah,
You get
sure.
close.
I really liked how he, what was I going to say? Oh, tried to get Ahsoka off-centered. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And tried to
It's
get
like,
under
nah.
her skin.
It's like, nah.
Well, and I think he may have to a certain extent. Now, Ahsoka's always been an emotional Jedi, and she's always trying to center herself, always trying to calm herself, and sometimes she does an amazing job at it, and she helped Anakin do that. Several times in the Clone Wars, she would help Anakin find his center and relax and calm down. But at the same time, she would struggle with the same kind of issues where she would, ride her emotions and stuff. And you could see her fighting that at the beginning of this fight. You could see that happening, where she was getting miffed and she's getting ticked off. She's like, look, I'm not here to deal with my past. Because imagine the guilt that she carries. It's not something we've explored a ton of in Star Wars. The guilt that she has of leaving Anakin and then him turning into Vader.
Yeah. You see a little bit of it in Rebels before their duel, and I think you'll see more of it in Episode 5.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's going to be a very emotional episode. But she definitely was having a hard time with that here. At least I feel. I could sense her tension, her guilt. Yes, no?
Well, I mean, just blocking and tackling wise, I forget the word I'm intending to use, but I mean, she didn't really fight like Ahsoka. I know she would have normally used more acrobatic form,
Or both sabers.
but yeah, or both sabers, and maybe she was trying to, because practically he was using Anakin's form, the two-handed, powerful, heavy hits is Anakin's form. And so I think she tried to alter her form to maybe
Counteract.
balance that a little bit.
Well,
it
and she
just wasn't
still-
as strong.
She was still similarly in her form. I mean, she did train for several years with one lightsaber. It wasn't until halfway through season 3 she got 2 in Clone Wars.
So
But she
she's
was still
trained-
always the acrobatic form.
Yeah, I think part of that,
Forward.
John, is just live action is not going to have her jump around as much.
what do you think that
That's
says
what I was
about him?
thinking.
What do you think
What's
that
that?
says about him if he deliberately used her master's fighting style, knowing that she would have know all about that?
Well, I
think-
mean, it may not
I
have
think
been that.
that's
That
his
might
form.
just be his.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he's a bigger
Okay.
dude. He's got a
Okay,
bigger
so you don't
saber.
think he was like, okay, I'm deliberately going to use Anakin's
I don't think
style
so, no.
to mess with
No.
you. Okay,
I
so
mean,
it's
they
just
grew
his
up around
fighting
the same
style.
time. They probably had some of the same training.
If they're gonna do that, they would have had to make it a little bit more overt. I feel
Yeah,
like that's too
agreed.
subtle for something like this.
Yeah.
But you can always
Okay.
theorize that for fun. Things are always more interesting, I feel like, when you try to explain things yourself sometimes. It's just true.
Hmm.
You come up with fun explanations. That's why, like Dave Filoni said, I don't want to explain every little thing in Star Wars. Let the fans explain some things for themselves.
Yeah. Like I think it's really cool how she's like, I don't need to use 2 sabers today. Because that's just showboating.
I don't know if it was that.
Well, she
She
definitely
woke
didn't
up.
need. She definitely didn't need to use 2 sabers against Marok. She
I
was
mean,
like, "That's
I feel
But
that
she did she not?
no." She
No,
did
she
not
was
pull
wrong.
that second saber.
Oh,
out,
she
and I-
used 2 against the nobodies at the beginning.
Yeah.
and that's what
Yeah.
my logic is. I feel that in the Clone Wars, it makes more sense for her to use 2 sabers with multiple
Against
enemies.
the droids. Yeah.
With multiple enemies. One-on-one,
'Cause
you
it's
need to be
efficient.
able, yeah, especially when going up against a stronger opponent.
Yeah.
If they're using 2 hands and you're using 1, they're just going to beat the crap out of you. And we
Mhm.
see that when Ahsoka's hand gets burnt or cursed, whatever it was that happened from that map, that she could no longer fight when she can only use 1 hand compared to a
And
two-handed
in both instances, obviously, if she's using 1 saber, she uses the longer hilted saber.
Mhm. And I feel that is just a strategy thing, that she's fighting a larger person who's going to have strong attacks. You need to have both hands
Right.
on the hilt. But still, both of them fought rather acrobatically. I mean, they still were moving.
What?
They
Ahsoka
were,
more than the other
I mean,
guy.
he jumped like once, but
yeah. And Ahsoka was jumping off of rocks here and there a little bit, and they were not just like, it was not as bad as like Kylo and Rey. Like it wasn't.
No, I
that
didn't
bad.
think it was bad.
Yeah. What was I gonna say?
Clearly, this episode wasn't as popping because we're a little dry tonight.
Well,
Talk about
try-
that character development you were talking about.
I'm trying not to monopolize and just talk the whole time here. But
Uh,
one thing. So, go ahead, CJ.
I was gonna say, John wants to bring up the character development. I actually thought that them adding some tension, or I guess kind of maintaining it from the first episode, and then they bring it to the end between what Sabine is going to do, because we see, I don't know, I think it's interesting. We finally see one of the good characters have some like just purely selfish motive. Like it was probably objectively the wrong decision for her to save that map.
Right.
And she thought she wasn't going to do it, but when it came down to it, you can kind of see, I guess, a lack of perspective on her part.
Yeah.
But also, it kind of reinforces her attachment to Ezra that they showed in the first episode.
Absolutely.
Over the cause.
So CJ, I tried to put myself in her mindset as she was going through it, because it was like a pretty couple good seconds of back and forth where she's like, she's really thinking about this. And like, I would put myself in that spot. I'm like, okay, I understand. Like, this is the person, let's say it's the person I love. You know, I really want to see them again. And I know that's like super important to me. And I'm going to be selfish right now. But you have to have that moment of decision where it's like, if I do this and make the wrong character decision, what is that going to say? Like, how are they going to think of me of how I got here? Like, I'm going to have to say so at some point, and that's just going to retract from my character and how I feel about myself in the end, doing what I want.
Yeah. And you also, Ahsoka could sense it in her from the beginning.
Right.
They kind of set it up.
So,
which I
to
appreciated.
her, like in that moment, like losing respect for herself and giving up a portion of her character was worth it to get to Ezra.
Also getting captured. She's like
and
carried away in cuffs.
Now, do you think it was a really good, important character point, or was it, we need to find a way to get Sabine on the ship with them, so we're going to make her have a little turmoil?
I think it's a good character point in that it shows her immaturity, and it kind of shows that deep down why her and Ahsoka didn't really work out before.
Plus,
I think this is probably a reoccurring theme in her training.
Yeah.
And when Ahsoka walked away, it's because of this streak of her personality and her decision making.
When she did that, she let 3 people down. She let herself down. She's ultimately going to let Ezra down, because just not what he would have wanted. And she told Ahsoka, "You can count on me. You know you can." Yep. So she let
2 guys killed.
And
Two X-Wings.
Professor Huyang down.
Yeah.
I think that's
probably
a
most
huge part
importantly
of it, what you just said, Jim. And this was
All the X-Wings.
This was the character development I was talking about. I'm glad we got to it. She's really letting Ezra down. If you've seen Rebels, and he even talks about in the beginning of the episode, the sacrifice that he made was getting Thrawn out of the picture, so the Rebels had a fighting chance. Because with him in the picture, they just had no hope. He was such an amazing strategist and so ruthless in his decision making. And he says to Sabine in that message, "I need you to see this through. I need you to make this sacrifice worth it."
Yeah.
And she undoes that by deciding to go back and get him.
But Ezra also said, a true Jedi knows what to do in the moment and sometimes has to make those tough decisions. So the adverse in her mind, or the converse in her mind, is, this is a tough decision and I have to make it. So
yeah,
I'm
but
best
case scenario,
but she's still immature and inexperienced. So
yeah, best case scenario though, she's gonna be like, okay, I'll do this, I'll get to Ezra and he'll find a way to make it better. So best case scenario, she's putting the burden right back on him again, a second time.
And I more so see this as her self-doubt kind of playing into this. Like, I think that she does not see herself as a Jedi and would not say, "I'm a Jedi, I have to do what I think is right." I think it'd more so be, I'm no Jedi. I can't do what Ezra did. I can't make this tough decision. I want to see my friend, and hopefully we figure it out in the end. I think that's what it comes down to. And that's what I mean. I mean, I was yelling at my TV. Rachel's like, Jake, shut up. I was like, you told Ahsoka she could count on you. You told her she could count on you.
Yeah.
And this is your master that you are trying to train with again. You're literally fighting to save the galaxy. And it just shows that you and Ahsoka are now aligned here. Getting Ezra was an awesome bonus to trying to save the galaxy, but that was not the goal. It was a goal, but it was not the goal. And she was unable to prioritize that. And it just, like you said, it shows her immaturity. It shows where her heart really is and where she is not selfless like a Jedi would be. A selfless decision would be to not do what I want, but to do what is the greater good.
Well, we
And-
also had that discussion last week about attachment and how the Jedi
That's
got
what
it
I was
wrong.
gonna bring
But this is why
This
Jedi
is why I
are
was
not supposed
literally
to have
just gonna
attachment.
say, and this is why, kids, we will never have attachments as Jedi. Never.
I mean, and
Yeah.
I think we're still in some respect the Jedi of the Republic didn't have that perfectly correct. Attachment can be okay, but you have to be able to make the tough decisions. Ezra most definitely had attachment. He was very attached to the Ghost Crew.
Yeah.
Kanan.
Tremendously. And so was Kanan.
I mean-
Kanan has a kid with Hera.
Yes.
Okay?
It can't
They
be
were
done.
very attached, but they were strong enough in the Force and selfless enough to, even though they had attachments, they were able to say, I have to do the right thing rather than just do what I need for my attachments that I have. Whereas Anakin was not able to let go of his attachments.
Yeah.
So it's something that all Jedi have to face. And just, it's the same thing we see. And I always connect it somehow to religion, right? In Christianity in some way. If your parents said all the time, you do nothing, you do nothing, you do nothing, 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 nothing. As soon as you get an opportunity, you want to go and do a bunch of stuff, right? But letting people battle with those things, letting the Jedi, say, I've got to learn. Can I trust myself to make the right decision when the time comes? I feel like that's more so the way the Jedi should be handling things.
I mean,
Yeah.
But if your attachment was Padme, can you really
No,
blame them?
I'd
all
be
in.
so dark. I'd be so dark side all the way.
I'd be the darkest Jedi that ever lived.
Like Padme, how dark do you want me to be?
Younglings, why
I
you
would've-
waiting so?
The
Oh,
entire
Jake, that video you sent me, that was it Adult Swim?
I don't
It's like, oh,
recall.
go to my happy place. Go to my happy.
Go, yeah.
It just made me feel uncomfortable. I don't know
Yeah,
why.
it
It
was.
just made me
I totally-
feel so uncomfortable. I was just like,
100% true.
no.
Essentially, it's a video. It's in a Robot Chicken video of
Oh,
Anakin, and I don't remember, something was
Oh,
bothering
and all the
him.
kids. Yeah.
And
It was when he had
it
to
was
take
about-
out the
He had
younglings.
to take out the younglings. He's like, go to my happy place, and he goes to Naboo, and it's just all sunflowers. He just starts like dancing around, and all the sunflowers just start getting chopped in half with the lightsaber and stuff. He's like, just all these sunflowers just start running away. He's like chasing after him. Oh, it's so bad. But it is funny. It is funny. I recommend it.
At the very least, from this moment on, I am going to be counting every person that directly or indirectly dies because of Sabine.
Oh, good idea.
We're,
I like it.
like
I mean,
David
I've
said,
counted two.
we're at 2.
Well, and here's the. I feel like there was another like continuity issue, which I didn't talk about this last week, but last week there were 3 fighters that blew up, and there's only 2 fighters that could blow up and not have Merrick or Shin blow up.
Mhm.
So there was an extra starfighter that got shown.
No,
Well,
they're
this.
all... Oh, okay. Maybe
Yeah,
not.
just watch
Right?
it. Watch last week's and you'll see it.
I'll have to,
Oh,
I'll have to
last
rewatch it. I'll have to
Um,
rewatch it.
okay, yeah.
It's possible
and-
2 more fighters came in or something.
And
Yeah.
and then this week's, I felt like there was another like happenstance of that happened. And
With
I
the
was like,
X-wings, or
yeah,
There was always 4 X-wings, right?
I thought there were 5.
Oh wait, I think he's right. 2
There was
collided,
4.
blew up instantly.
There was
Two collided,
4,
one went out,
but
and
3
everybody-
blew
Right.
up.
I think
No, there
it
was 5.
I thought there
No,
was
there
5.
was 4.
Let me run the tape. Where
Jarvis, pull up the tape.
I count 5. There were 5
There was
X-wings.
5. Okay.
Yeah. Because I remember they created a pentagon around the ghost.
Yeah.
Or was it a pentagram?
Either or.
But a little continuity thing. So remember that,
But
that
they did
beautiful
mistake for
scene,
sure.
the beautiful scene where the big ring is floating up through the clouds.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
First off, like that
Floating
doesn't make
straight
any
up?
sense because it
Where
was
did-
in the last episode. It was already up.
In
Yes.
space?
Thank
It's in
you.
space.
Thank you.
And so
When
I
did
feel
it-
like that was just a
Let's
a
go, Doc
scene that
Boys.
someone made, and they're like, "All right, we got to put this in somewhere. Let's put it
I
here."
didn't even think about
And then
that.
they immediately cut away, and then they immediately cut back to it,
That's
and
the
it's
thing.
way up in the sky,
It
and
took
there's
me
like
out-
no clouds
yeah.
between that and the ground.
It actually
was
took
really
me out of the
confused.
moment. It took me out of the moment because I was like,
Yeah.
every time they've got back to the bridge, I assumed that they're in space, and I could have sworn I
know.
saw like stars.
And I was like,
now-
man, where does this thing land? Like,
It was a beautiful scene. It was gorgeous, but it
Yeah.
was like,
I did not notice that. That does
Yeah,
make
neither.
sense though. That's a little bit annoying, but that's just an editing issue.
yeah,
could be
Star
did
Wars
you-
was not saved in the edit.
I think that the ring has connection points next to the hyperdrives, and I think they're going to try to grab Thrawn's Star Destroyer and bring it back.
oh yeah, absolutely.
The
Oh,
Chimera.
Yeah.
like they're gonna dock to
Hmm.
the
Yeah.
ship.
Mhm.
Hyperspace rings are always for taking something else.
Yep. I think it's
Does
just
it?
Star
Let's
Destroyer
see if
hyper.
it looks like there's any sort of.
It
Not that
looks
there
like there's
needs to
connection.
be.
So I said I looked at it. And it looks like there's connection points right next to the hyperdrive.
That's gonna look so dumb. I'm not gonna lie.
It
It's
is
not
what it
about
is.
looks. It's about
Star
Functionality.
Destroyer with a hyperspace booster ring.
that would
I mean,
look.
it's gotta
that
look
would look
cross-
good,
Yeah.
though.
I'll buy that Lego set. They need to build a hyperspace ring
$1,500.
for the UCS.
Gosh.
And then you
Star
can buy
Destroyer.
battle packs to fit it to all of your sets.
Yeah. Except that they
It's a
all
D-
come
it's a
with
DLC.
Commander. So
I'll
you
just
have to
take
buy a
one of
little bit
these.
more.
I'll take one of these, and just put it around the nose of that. It'll fit like.
I don't know what you're
halfway.
talking about.
I'm pointing on my screen. The Jedi
I see it.
Starfighter hyperdrive
Yeah.
ring.
Yep.
Put it
on
just around
sleeve
the
one.
nose. No, around the
Oh.
nose of the ISS.
It just toes it.
Destroyer.
ISS.
Destroyer.
Master destroyers.
Okay,
Um,
so now we are at the where Sabine made
Sabine
her
gets defeated.
bad decision, real bad
Well-
decision. But that's after.
She went to
Ahsoka
go
got-
find Vader. She went to Vader.
Well, let's kind of discuss that little conversation.
She
We
just
kinda
threw the
skipped over
fight
it.
though. Wait, which conversation?
Ahsoka just she told Sabine right then and there to destroy it, and she
Oh, yeah.
kind of was like threatening to shoot the thing while it's in her hand. She's like, "I'll shoot it." You're like, "I shoot a hole
shoot
straight
it.
through your hand."
I'll do
Don't
it.
think I'll do
I'll
it.
do
I'll
it.
do it.
But it
Why
was
we
not
do
very convincing.
No.
Never really is.
But I think that was kind of intentional because
Yeah.
Balin could definitely tell. You know, this thing's. I'm not to worry about this.
Real
I'm
quick,
just waiting for
real
him to
quick.
just do one of these numbers.
Yeah, well, yeah. I was just gonna say, why does no one use the Force in these things?
Shin
Like,
did.
Two
Ahs-
people.
Ahsoka and Balin are fighting. Ahsoka's trying to grab the thing so desperately. Just
Yeah.
use the Force and like at least try. Maybe it's
And-
grabbed in there by the magic, but
Yeah,
like,
I feel
try.
that may be possible.
But like
that
she didn't even try.
Yeah.
Is
They
that
cut
too
away
much?
once
Am
or
I being
twice. You might not have
unreasonable?
seen it.
No,
No,
no.
no. If she tried just like stops to do that though, he's just gonna match it, isn't he? And
You're
so
more
they're
than
just gonna
likely.
Well,
sit
then
there
show
like,
that. But like she doesn't even try.
stop.
It's just like when Anakin and Obi-Wan do that. It's pretty
Yeah.
cool. I enjoy that scene.
I enjoy that
Yeah,
scene
we can
as
just
well.
we can just get Kylo and Rey ripping a lightsaber apart again.
Also,
Yeah, with the orb, that would be cool.
Yeah, just a little different.
And then they all die.
Did you guys
Not
like
with Kylo
Ahsoka-
and not with
the sound of
Rey.
Ahsoka's lightsabers?
yeah,
I noticed that today in the scene where
They
Balin and
sound more
Ahsoka first
silky. Yeah.
when they first started fighting, and all you could hear was just their lightsabers. His sounded super dark and ominous, like just heavy. You know what I
no,
mean?
it sounded like Vader's. It sounded
Yes,
like
very
Vader's.
very classic lightsaber, and hers had that little high pitch kind of.
Which it's always made that sound from.
Yeah, I
Mando.
just really noticed it today, and I
Oh.
really liked it.
That's so like 2 years ago, dude.
I don't know. I felt it stood out today. I don't know if they just heightened something.
Our
or what.
level, John.
They took the slider and went. Zzz.
Yeah.
So, when Ahsoka grabs that thing,
Yeah.
right? Why didn't she just toss it like into the water immediately?
I would have
Force
been
whip
like-
it
I'd have been
100
like,
miles away.
Baseball bat.
Shirt.
I guess
Well,
at that point,
I think
at that
the goal
point, she hadn't
was-
resolved to destroy it at that point. I guess, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the goal was still to try to get there if possible. But it wasn't until that they realized they were beaten that she said we have to destroy them.
She should have just taken it with the force and just like catapulted it.
Yeah,
She could
like
just-
something.
She should just hold it in one hand and force push it with the other
Yeah,
and just
so
fly
she's-
away.
she's holding back. She's holding back
Magneto.
the saber, right?
It's like
With
when
her
you
other-
carry. Go ahead. What are you
With
saying,
her other
CJ?
hand,
Yeah.
she should just like take Sabine and the sphere and toss them into the water.
maybe that's what Inquisitors are actually doing with their flying with their lightsabers. They're just like force pushing their lightsabers up, but they're holding it up.
I don't want to think
Like
about
when you
that
were
at
a
all.
kid,
I just-
had
It's
to
like when
carry
you-
yourself in a laundry
I'm gonna
basket.
No, they're force pushing air up through a
Yeah.
current, which their lightsaber hits and pushes down, and that's how they fly.
I mean, you're not gonna make this not dumb. So
It will-
Oh, it's
it
not
will
supposed to
forever-
be not.
it
It's
will
supposed
forever
to be
be
dumber.
Worst
Dumb
thing
and- dumb
Dave
and
Filoni
dumber.
ever did with Star Wars was the flying lightsaber.
I just want to see somebody in like
What
the
would you-
credits doing this.
What would you have done if Merrick like
Flew
spins
away.
his lightsaber at him and just goes?
rolled my eyes.
I would have lost it, dude. I would have turned my TV off. I'd be like, oh, I can't take this.
I would
That
have
was
made
like
sound
some-
effects for sure.
Jeez.
So what about like when Ahsoka falls off?
Mhm.
Did that just bother you? It just seemed too easy. That
Yeah.
seems way too like. Okay, she's
what do
not
you
even
mean?
trying to stay alive.
No,
Like-
I think she most certainly was.
She found out that she thought that Sabine was dead, and then she finally sees Sabine. Is like, oh, Sabine's alive. I feel like that should give her a jolt of renewed vigor.
what
to
I-
fight.
there
I
was a
think
moment
that's-
of worry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
CJ.
I agree. I agree.
See,
I think that him hitting her with a two-handed strike is too much for her will.
but she
it's
couldn't
like
have
in the real
dodged it or
world.
something. Like
Sweet.
it's
No,
a
she
heavy
was-
hit, but it's a slow hit.
She's
I'm-
not
I'm
balanced.
watching it right
She's on the
now.
edge.
But she
Yeah.
could have. I mean, am I giving her too much force credit? I feel like
I think so. I mean, the Force isn't just this unlimited source of power that people can just draw on at all times. And especially as you read a lot of books and stuff, and it's not canon. But there's only so much that you can do, especially when you're in combat. The level of focus it takes to anticipate someone's strike and then to also be using force powers left and right. It can turn Jedi into superheroes if you treat things that way.
But
We don't want them to be superheroes.
She didn't
And
get
she's
the
also
strike.
like focusing on trying to get Sabine to destroy the thing.
And her hand is like, I don't know. I don't think it was cursed or burnt. I think it was like some kind of magic did something to her entire
Dark
arm.
side.
Yeah. And I think that she was just exhausted from that point on. Like that.
I
that
just want a
map did
little
something.
effort. Like she just stands there like this and just like I've watched it like 3
Yeah,
times. at this point.
why couldn't she do the Leia Mary Poppins and just like zoom back up?
That would have been reasonable.
I mean, certain things, John, and I know you're not going to like this answer,
I'm not.
but
I don't like it
are-
already.
you want
Mary
story.
Poppins, John.
If you're writing a story, you have a certain way you want it to go. And I think if you are trying to say from like a realistic standpoint in a sci-fi world of space wizards,
Don't you
You-
dare
Hobos.
use that as a reason.
no. I'm saying you
Hobos,
can
right.
come up with a explanation for why anything should or should not happen. But it just comes down to they wanted the story to go a certain way.
And it can. I just want a little bit of effort.
So would you have rather seen her like dodge it and then he like spin kicks out of her dodge and kicks her off the cliff?
Yeah.
Something like
Yeah.
that.
You
Okay,
want
that would've been
every
cool.
Star
That's
Wars
understandable.
fans want something that's cool.
I
Like
agree.
that's
Yeah.
a low bar. Like something
Like just
that's cool.
yeah, like you want to do one thing, or the goal is to
I
get her off
suppose.
the cliff.
Even
Instead of just
if
doing one strike to send her off, yeah, do like a
Yeah.
strike. Oh, and then
Just
okay,
hit,
then yeah,
and then,
at
like,
that point
Do
she's
that
really
whole, like,
tired.
elbow push.
like
Especially
even if it's just he swings at her, she dodges, and like he predicts her dodge and force pushes her off the edge.
Yeah, because he's not very tired.
I-
He's not tired at all at this point.
I understand that it's not something that personally bothers me, but I get what you're saying. Absolutely. And I agree in that sense. I would like to see some things a little more thought out and a little bit more exciting.
Perfect example. Episode 3, the Count Dooku and Anakin fight. The way that they cut that fight so much compared to what was originally planned for that lightsaber fight, leaves a very weird conclusion to that fight where Anakin literally just goes all the way around like Dooku's lightsaber and like gets up in his face to like cut his arm off, all in one very slow motion. And it's not believable.
Because that scene was gonna be like
Long.
how much long? It was gonna be like
like twice as long.
yeah. And then they had
I've
to
seen
cut a
the-
bunch out.
I've seen the choreography stunts, so that they cut a lot.
Yeah,
George
and
was just like, no, I'll just cut a little more.
yeah, they're just like, George, do you really want a 3-hour movie? If you say
Listen.
so.
I personally also
I
kind of
guess,
want to go
George,
back
I
and rewatch a lot of the fights in slow motion, just to kind of like analyze the choreography a bit.
Down to it.
I
Yeah,
know
I
it might
like
bother me, or just
Because
like
what
flip
what you're gonna want, and maybe you already probably already know this, because I'm a YouTube professional. Okay, I have my YouTube
I know
degree.
I
in
saw your
VFX.
9-year-old video yesterday.
And so with the with the Stuntmen React, they were talking about how the Last Jedi fight is just awful.
Oh, that's terrible.
how it's so bad.
So much wasted movement.
Yeah, and that's like a big wasted movement, open gaps, that are
Opening
just
yourself
so
up to
open.
die.
Yeah. And so it's just like you'll find tons of that stuff. And even in the Phantom Menace fight, as much as I don't want to admit it, the duel of the fates, there's Obi-Wan has a lot of wasted spinnies. But then once they get into the reactor room, it's pretty much all
I would say the
all
reactor
gold from
room
there on out.
part is just phenomenal because every strike Maul blows is a kill shot, and the way Kenobi blocks them, like the one where he blocks chest and then Maul comes and swings right back and he goes back over.
yeah.
Oh, it's one of my favorite moments in all of Star Wars.
and then he gets kicked in the face.
Yeah,
and
and
he
then
like
kick in the face.
backflips and like blocks him. I was like, all right,
Oh,
that's dope.
freaking sick, dude. What?
Yeah.
Okay,
Nick Gillard.
we have to remember these are some of the best Jedi that have ever lived, and Darth Maul fighting. We can't.
No,
get
we
that
just had a
from
different
every other Jedi.
choreographer.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Because Nick
Dude.
Gillard would be like, all right, I'm making a fight for Sabine and Shin. So Sabine's very green, very
Yep. And
novice.
Shin's a Padawan.
Shin's like pretty good.
whatever.
So he would make it as such, just like he did for
Yeah.
Kenobi and Maul.
I mean, I felt that the Sabine and Shin fight was
Mhm.
good,
Okay.
and you could see that there was a difference in skill level between Ahsoka and Baylan as well. Like they were not as experienced. Shin had a lot of
Agreed.
flails that just were totally off the mark, like cutting the
Mhm.
trees down, and Sabine wasn't capitalizing when she could have. Like an experienced Jedi would have seen that attack where she flies over, and if you have time to dodge, you have time to strike. So she could have
Like
used that
that.
moment like Ahsoka did, right? So if you're not forced to block something and you can duck underneath it, an experienced Jedi would have killed Shin in that point, but Sabine can't.
Yeah. Which is why I generally like their fights better, because they
Mhm.
have that margin of error
Mhm.
that's allowed, essentially.
Okay. 48 minutes in, I feel like we're far enough in. We can get down to the nitty gritty. The 30 seconds we've all
The
been wanting
nitty
to talk about.
I say we didn't get there yet. Okay.
Nope.
Where
We talked
is
about it,
this
but we
gritty?
didn't-
Get down
So-
to nitty gritty.
Ahsoka
Let's do the
falls
gritty.
off this cliff, and we don't see where her body lands.
I don't know how to do
It's
it.
the nitty gritty.
I'm with you, Jake. I'm with you.
We got to make like a TikTok now where someone
That
is
was the
knitting-
first time I've
knitting,
ever done that.
No, you just
knitting
gotta
while they
take
do the gritty.
Just gotta
The
take it.
nitty-
We really don't.
We need an
actually.
emoji of that.
CJ, you're the one. You're the
Okay.
one, CJ. The nitty
Sure.
gritty.
You are the one.
Anyways, so it
Ahsoka
pans down.
dies. Okay, we can start. Does Ahsoka die?
I
Who
don't
thinks
think
Ahsoka dies? Raise your
I
hand.
believe
if you think
every
Ahsoka
just
off-screen
you.
death I've ever seen.
dies.
Okay, well, not like perma dead, but like she drowns in the water or bashes against the rocks.
David, what John is saying, he
No.
thinks is that her physical body died at this point, even after he saw Ahsoka.
No way.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
So she went through. So theorize, because we don't know. How did she get to the world between worlds?
So-
there's a lot
Vision.
we don't know about.
I was about to say the
the
same
Force.
thing, John.
The
Jim.
vision in the Swartz.
Well, that's why we're theorizing.
Yep. So the world between worlds, Rachel has not finished Rebels yet, and she's
Ooh.
like, "What in the world?"
Amateur.
I went the world between worlds, and she's like, "Huh?" And she said, Jake, what's the world between worlds? And I was like, sorry, I got something to do. I cannot explain that to you in the next 20 minutes. So we're just got to finish Rebels, then we can talk about it after that. But it's not something that we fully understand. And Filoni's even said himself, it's not something that he wants to fully explain. And I think that while we've only seen one way to enter the world between worlds through that portal that Palpatine was trying to access and Ezra found on the Lothal Jedi Temple, that is one way to enter. I don't think that we can now assume that is the only way to enter
that
the world
because
between
there's
worlds.
all those holes.
Well, I mean, not specifically that portal, but I mean that method. That's not the only method to enter the world between worlds is some Jedi built portals. There's got to be other ways. So
Palpatine was there. Like, there's got to be some.
He was doing his voodoo.
How did he get there?
And we know that this planet. Go ahead.
Interesting. Do you think it has anything to do with what happened to her hand?
It could, and it also could have something to do with Night Sisters stuff. You know, because I mean, Palpatine was experimenting with Force magic. That's how he accessed the world between worlds, right?
Yeah, wasn't in the what's it called show? No, that was more like the Bane trilogy. There was a lot of Sith magic, but I'm sure Sidious learned.
Yeah,
some of it.
So we know that Force magic and Force alchemy is what I guess you could actually call it is one way to get there. So perhaps on this planet, there's some kind of portal or some kind of force that is able to get her there. Now, whether
I hope not, because that's really convenient for her to fall from a cliff.
I don't think that it's more so
portal.
she fell into something, but more so like a state of. See, you're right. It is a physical body that actually transports there. It's not just your mind.
That's pretty convenient for everything to align for her to fall into this place.
So, Jim, would you argue that someone pulled her in?
Again.
I would.
Anakin.
Well,
Anakin.
Sure, Anakin.
Do we think that's actually Anakin or a projection of her mind?
I mean, sure looked like him.
Does anyone else notice that the very last second of the show was Darth Vader's theme for like 5 whole seconds? Why?
Oh yeah, I was like, why did it get sketchy?
Why was that?
Because I think she's about to face a lot of temptation.
Memories of Vader.
I think she's about to face a lot of temptation of the dark side, guilt.
The closed captioning.
She's about to be very tempted to go and change the past. After everything that has just happened and the guilt that she's just been put in front of her by Balin about that's how I noticed it.
That's the closed captioning.
That's
Vader theme, please.
So I think that Anakin is going to be the little voice, the voice of reason for her during the next episode.
I hope it's the voice of reason for her, not like a Jedi trial that is trying to tell her to do the wrong thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think Anakin has been redeemed at this point. We should not see an evil version of Anakin. You know what I mean?
Yes. Don't do that to us. Do not do that to us.
Well, it depends.
It could be a memory.
No.
If it's actually Anakin, then yes, I don't want him testing her. But what if it's not actually Anakin?
That's what I'm saying. I don't want it to be some fake version of Anakin.
So you want it to be Anakin?
Yes. I want it to be actually Anakin we know he's a Force ghost now at this point. Or at least he can project himself as one. Right. So with how powerful he is, why can he not access the world between worlds as a Force ghost and be there? And if he can, and he has an opportunity to save Ahsoka, maybe she was about to fall to her death, John. And we've talked about this before. We don't believe Ahsoka actually was killed by Vader. Ezra prevented that. Right. So this, again, could be one of those moments where Anakin did that. He saved Ahsoka, maybe.
Simply caught her. And, you know, Snips, I got you. I've been watching. You screwed up.
9 lives.
So I think that would be my explanation as to how she got here. Yeah. Okay, how about this? At what point did you realize? Oh, what a beautiful face. At what point did you realize the world between worlds?
When it started fading to black. And
as soon as
you could clearly see it wasn't the water.
Yeah,
when I saw the lines.
Yeah.
So
she was laying on something
saw
solid.
that it wasn't water, I was like, is this the world between worlds? Like, that wouldn't make sense. I was like, it must just be some weird water that they have there. And I was like, no, it is. It is. And it started to zoom out. I was like, it is.
Yeah.
What if, here's another theory. What if she is just laying on a rock or a beach and she's just having some vision of being at the world between worlds? She's not there.
Oh, like
That
she's
would
just
be weird.
unconscious.
I wouldn't
Yeah,
like
she's just-
that at all.
Her subconscious is connected to Anakin in the Force, and she's unconscious on the rock.
Or what if it
So
was
perhaps this is a way that Anakin is speaking to her.
Yeah, he's
Like
using
actually speaking to her, but
Yeah, he's
she
using-
is-
he's using something, and she's like, she's unconscious. She's using some place she's been before to.
It would be weird for
moment.
her to use the world between worlds, in my opinion, because I mean she's only been there once. I feel like if she was going to imagine Anakin, and maybe if Anakin
she
was going to
imagining-
use,
yeah.
okay, if Anakin was going to use that, he wouldn't use the world between worlds. He'd use like, I don't know, some place where he taught her a lesson and she would have remembered it, or like in the Jedi
but-
temple somewhere, or
Okay,
if
This
that's
is-
what it was.
this is my official theory for next week.
I
That
would
it's a vision.
feel it.
Yeah.
It would depend on what happens in the next episode.
Yeah.
Like, if we see a lot happening in the world between worlds, that's like exciting stuff and cool things and flashbacks and stuff, then I wouldn't want that to be a dream.
Oh, I'm sure we'll know within the first couple minutes.
That's the
Like,
thing.
I'm
If,
wrong,
if
then
it's
I could be
not,
wrong.
and we go through a whole episode thinking that she's actually experiencing this stuff, and then
Yeah.
realize like she wakes up, I'll be like, I don't know how I feel about that.
I'm sure it'll be very apparent. Very
And
soon.
here's why I don't think it's a vision, because Ahsoka has no way to get to this other
Mhm.
galaxy.
That's what I was thinking too. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And the world between worlds, you are connected to anywhere in the universe at
she
any
has
time.
no way. What about the whales?
She'd have to piggyback on a blowhole of a Purgill.
Yeah.
That'd be the only way she could get there.
Hey,
Free
Ezra
will, man.
got there.
So I think that she's going to use the world between worlds to get to this other galaxy.
Yeah.
And I
She's
think
gonna pop out
that's the
somewhere.
reason I think it's a real place.
That's
and a real
your
experience.
official theory, Jake, is that she
Yes.
is there. She's going to use there's going to be some sort of conflict of a choice between her. Does she use the portal to go forward
Change
to get
something.
Sabine, or go back and change the whole thing? That's your
Yeah.
theory. Your
And
official-
she's
be
going to be
tempted.
she's going to be able to make the decision that Sabine was not able to do. She's going to have the same choice. Do I do the thing that I know I need to do, or do I go and save my master from
Yeah,
turning
there
to the
you go.
dark side? And she's going to have to let her master perish.
I like
And
that.
she's going to have to go and save the galaxy this way.
I like that. That's a
That's
good
actually
one.
really, that's a good take, Jake. I like that.
If only they'd let me write Star Wars.
Yeah, if that doesn't happen, I'm gonna be, because yeah, those are the two greatest current in this show. Those are the two greatest points to which
In all
she
of-
could
in all
have
of- yeah.
an effect. And
But-
like you said, it shows the dichotomy of Sabine's selfish choice
Yeah, but
to her potential selfish choice, and does she choose?
And I think Ahsoka may even go into this other world. Like
Which-
we've heard
Yeah, we've
leaks.
Yeah,
Yeah, but-
She saves Anakin, and then we don't get the sequel.
no, but Jake, how could that be a real conflict for her to have next episode when we know? Okay, this is just argumentative. But when we know that they've all said that Anakin turning is a fixed point. There's no changing.
who said that?
Lucas, right?
Well, Lucas,
Like
what he
Anakin-
said doesn't really matter at this point. Just
Like Anakin
practically speaking.
turning to the dark side is a fixed point, right? Like
It's a will of the force kind of thing. There's
Yeah.
nothing that could have changed that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but that
so
doesn't
then
mean that
it
she
doesn't matter.
understands it that way.
That
True,
doesn't
yeah.
exactly. That
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
mean that
so if
she
she
knows
so
that.
if she was to be like selfish moment, it just would have meant nothing. Like,
Well,
she
yeah,
would've
because
gone-
she would
the
die,
consequences
Die herself.
that could have been made
Yeah.
are she stops it, right? But it still happens another way.
yeah,
you
he
know
just
what I
like
mean?
well,
And there's
too
no
bad for you.
savior. There's no Luke.
Yeah,
and
like
Leia.
she dies or Padme dies in childbirth, and then he
Anyways.
just turns
Yeah,
after
exactly.
that
Yes.
instead of
Exactly.
so.
No Luke, no Leia.
Christmas Carol style.
Yeah.
Wait, no, there's another one. There's the different one that does that.
You're thinking of A Wonderful Life, right?
Yeah, yeah, that one. Christmas
go.
movie.
Sure.
So how did you all? And the reason I had him up there was, how did you all feel about it visually?
I felt that
fine.
it looked a lot better than the Kenobi show. He doesn't look as old. As he
Well,
did
yeah,
in-
Kenobi show had very, very, very minimal de-aging.
Mhm.
This definitely had some.
I mean, it
It was a
almost looks.
little-
It almost looks exactly the same. You can definitely tell it's computerized, but
Yeah, the movement was a little
Hmm.
off. Maybe a little of the coloring and lighting.
Is it
I don't
just
know.
me, or is there no scar?
no, there's a scar. You can see it.
Yeah. It's there.
It's very.
see a
It's on the
scar.
dark side of his face, and then he has one over his left eyebrow. But yeah, there's definitely that one. It's just very,
Okay, yeah. Okay, there it is.
very, and it's on the dark side of the moon. So
Transformers.
yeah.
It's a bad one.
See, I just felt like the movement. It was a little, just a pinch. A pinch.
I never did like Snips as a nickname.
It was just a pinch. Not cartoony, but just
CG.
animated.
You can
Yeah, it's a
definitely-
little
CGI,
smoother
like-
than it should be.
Yeah. No.
Oh, I just got an email from YouTube or Disney.
Did you?
Yeah, we've been
Or both.
demonetized.
Got him.
All right. So I don't think this show is going to slow down from here on out. Okay, I heard the fire alarm beep again.
Yeah, it's been beeping the whole time.
Okay. All right. I knew it was somebody. Jim, is it you?
No, it's really not. I will personally check all my fire alarms.
I need you to do it. It's bothering me. You're unsafe. You're going to die of carbon monoxide poisoning.
That's not what that means.
That's not what that means.
It's a low battery.
Don't
It's just
smoke
a low
alarms-
battery.
Don't I know, but don't smoke alarms also measure carbon monoxide?
They can, but that's
They
definitely
can.
a low.
So if
it
you have a
would
low,
be
if you have a
lot
low
more-
battery, no, that's what I'm saying. If you have low battery, there's going to be carbon monoxide in his house. He's not going to know. He's gonna die.
If-
It would
if it
actually
is-
be making.
I guess.
It wouldn't actually be
Sure.
making any noise, Jake.
This-
The battery would be
I'm not
off.
saying that there's carbon monoxide right now. I'm saying he won't know if it happens.
No, that's
I will
exactly
have-
what you said though. What's the thing? Causation is not. What's the
Correlation
phrase?
is not
Yeah,
causation.
correlation is not
Correlation is
causation.
not
Yeah.
causation.
So not
Come on,
having
Jake,
batteries
mathematic.
doesn't cause
That would
carbon
be-
monoxide.
I would have to have a talk with the contractors because this house was finished 2 months ago.
Oh wow, fancy Jim with all his NASA money. You want to know when my house was finished? World War II.
So it's probably your fire alarm.
The fire alarms are new.
I'm
It's got nothing to do with the age of the
Smoke
house.
alarm.
like, one
Whatever.
of you guys just needs to put a battery in and stop complaining about it.
Here, I'll just mute everyone for a moment until.
And it could just be me playing with my phone hitch.
No,
It was
here before.
it was here
John.
before.
It is CJ or
Ooh.
John.
It's
Jim.
not me.
CJ or Jim.
Watch it be me. It's probably all this talk. It's probably me.
Yeah, it's probably Jim. Jim just doesn't want to admit it.
It's fine. We'll deal with it.
figure it out.
Anyways, so I think that we've got these 5, 6, 7, and 8 episodes left. I think episode 5 is vast majority going to take place in the world between worlds. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't leave it until the very end. Like we might not
15
see
minutes.
Sabine. We might not see Sabine and them this entire episode.
I hope not. This is to be all Ahsoka and her journey.
Yeah, I think, and I think
Yeah.
that's where it's headed.
More
I don't
dialogue,
want-
Ahsoka.
yeah.
Episode
Oh.
6. Do you think it's going to be Hera getting there? See, that's the only reason I think that Ahsoka might not use the world between worlds to get there is so that Hera can also get to other galaxies.
So,
She
speaking of
has no
Hera,
way.
we didn't talk about the whole Hera cockpit scene with her son.
We did not.
Yeah. What do you want to talk about it?
Well, what's his bad feeling?
What
He
did you say,
feels
Jim?
bad. He has a bad feeling.
Yep.
About
Oh, yeah, he's
about
got
what? I was waiting for him to say
The
what
Force.
about
This, about this.
or that.
Well, is that his
This
force
or
sensitivity?
Well, I
Is-
mean, he's got to. I think so.
Yeah.
Being able to sense that something bad is coming.
Okay, but
Well,
Han
Han Solo
Solo said
says.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, Han Solo has the Force.
Yeah,
Everyone
but
has
Han
the
Solo's
Force.
dad wasn't a Jedi.
Correlation.
Yeah.
no, it was more. He's like he stopped and was like, "Mom, I feel something feels. This is a new feeling."
And that may also just
I've
be a
never
very
felt
Star
about
Wars
this.
thing to say. I mean, like we
Han
said
Solo
before,
Mm.
they even explain in the show, every single character has the Force in them in some realm. So, I mean, you and I can have a bad feeling about something. So, I don't know. Me personally, I don't give two rips if that kid has the Force or not. So.
He's the next generation
Well
of
then.
Jedi. What are you saying?
Yeah.
Going
What do
to
you
die. If
And
it
here's the
happens.
thing that bothers me. As good as this show is, we know it leads to the sequel trilogy. So that just is always in the back of my mind. That
Dude, that's keeping me watching this show, honestly.
Yeah.
Wait,
Like-
what trilogy? I have no idea.
Sounds
what
like
you're
a
talking
plus.
Because all they have to do is go in that little time tunnel and just cut off the ends and
This is it.
Glue it
This is
back
how they
together.
reset the timeline.
What are the chances that happens?
I don't know.
Ahsoka resets the timeline. She just erases everything that happens after.
well, and I was gonna say, what if all
Like,
these characters end up
counterspell.
going to this other galaxy, like some people have theorized, and they just live there from now on?
What's
That's
the
what you-
over-under on that happening?
Like a percentage chance?
I don't know, man. Probably like a 1 in like 12.
I'd say like
Yeah.
10% chance of that happening.
So 1 in
I think
10.
it's low.
I would say like 0.01.
Yeah. I just don't have that kind of faith.
Yeah, I don't see it happening, but
My
I
lack
mean, it
of
could.
faith disturbs
But we
me.
know that we see the ghost used in the final battle of the Rise of Skywalker. So,
But it could be any ghost.
well, and it could be they all get sent there and Hera is left behind. I don't know.
Could be
Left
Jason.
behind.
Jason
Ah,
Sandula.
Mayhaps.
So I'm gonna go to the regular galaxy. Bye.
Sandula.
Well, if they reset the timeline, doesn't matter who was in the final battle. It didn't happen.
Yeah.
I don't see any timeline being reset here.
A man can dream, Jake. A man can.
I-
They'll
dream.
need
just
some
think-
plutonium for that.
I think that Ahsoka is going to have some temptation to do such things,
Uh-oh.
but that
But
she's not
because-
actually going to do it.
Yeah, no, she's
It's
not
demerits.
because
Mhm.
Demerits.
she has attachments. So she's not going to want to run to those attachments, like we talked about at the beginning. She's not homeschooled or anything.
Mm.
No.
Do you guys see what happened in Watertown a few weeks ago?
Yeah.
You know, should we?
Yeah, I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you later.
Was
Uh-oh.
it?
Send
There's
it.
a
Put
guy-
it in the chat. Put it in the chat.
I think I did.
Do I don't know if I have it.
I
Oh
just
yeah, I
don't
know where it
remember
is.
like exactly what like.
Did we already talk about it?
No, this happened
There's-
just a few days ago.
Oh no.
No, this is a good thing, kind of.
Prison?
Was it?
No,
Was
no,
it like,
no, nothing like that. No.
Oh.
Was it the guy's like kid that got arrested or something?
Yeah, a kid got arrested.
Yeah. Okay.
You said there wasn't prison.
There's no
No,
prison.
it's like for like sharing the gospel.
Oh.
Yeah.
Still
Here,
prison though.
Sorry, I
found
gotta finish like sentences like that. I guess. Guess it makes a
Share,
difference.
send.
Should we just share it on the screen and break it down?
It's. Huh?
I'm
So
just
we're gonna
like-
pick up right where we left off
That's
next
just like
week,
they-
right? Well, I mean, it only makes sense that we pick.
Yeah,
up where we
I
left
can't
off.
see. It's got to start off with Anakin and Ahsoka just standing on the bridge talking. I mean, it has to.
Yeah.
You
Like,
can't leave us hanging.
Master,
You absolutely
Give me
can't.
Sky
Master,
Guy.
there's too many of them. What are we going to do?
Do you guys think we'll see? We've
Uh.
discussed these leaks before, I believe. It's rumors. I'm not even going to call it leaks. I'm going to call it rumors because I don't really put much credit into them. But a rumor of Ahsoka and Anakin fighting on Mustafar instead of Obi-Wan and Anakin.
Yeah, we remember that from like a long time ago.
Yeah. I don't think that's going to happen.
I think we would have heard more about it.
I think it would have been like, if it does, it's just like some kind of alternate thing. of
Where
them
she may
looking
see herself doing this
Yeah.
like through a
at-
portal.
it's
This
as
is
like,
number
well,
two.
what if I had been there and they show that for a little bit? It's like, I don't know, and it shows that it wouldn't have turned out well either, kind of a thing.
Yeah, maybe. That makes sense to show her that, you know, she might not have been able to change. Because maybe she argues that if I had been there, I could have stopped you. And it's like, no, if you were there, I just would have killed you too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
because
nobody
he
beats
was,
Darth
I think
Vader.
he was already mostly gone at that point, you know?
Yeah, and I think he's gonna say, "Look, if you go back and stop that, who I am now. I might not be who I am now, and all the good that's happened. Blah blah
Luke
blah."
was my only
Well,
chance.
And the whole
Yeah.
thing is, it was all part of what was supposed to happen, more or less. And Luke was able to help him become who he was destined to be. It just took time. I mean, and
Attachment saved the day at the end of the day.
Attachments forbidden.
Yeah, I think it was a good thing.
That's all I gotta say.
Someone say we are encouraged to love.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Well, any other further comments on the episode?
I hope Anakin looks a little better, just a little.
I think he's gonna look the same as he looks this episode. I can't imagine they make episode 5 and like, let's make it better in episode 6.
Let's put some
Do
money
this.
into it this time, John.
But better. This, but better.
What was I gonna say? Oh, I do think that after we're gonna get episode 5 is the World Between Worlds. I think episodes 6, 7, and 8 are all gonna be in this other galaxy, except for maybe the end of episode 8.
Probably.
I hope so.
And we see Thrawn in episode 6.
Probably 6 or 7. I think
Not
6
the end
will,
of 5.
I don't think end of 5. I think here's what I would guess.
And how long is the next episode going to be?
Probably
Think
about
it
the
could be
same.
Shorter.
Probably about the same.
38
max?
minutes?
Yeah.
Because this
I
one
think-
was 35.
Ugh.
35, 36. Yeah.
Every time that we say the next episode
if
has
you,
to be
if
longer,
you don't count the
it really
recap,
is.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's
I never
literally like
figured.
2 minutes longer. And then we're like, well, it doesn't really count.
I wouldn't be shocked if episode 5 was longer. I think we'll see episode 5. Episode 6 will be them arriving at the galaxy and like actually spending some time to look for them. Episode 7 and 8 will be a 2-part finale of them.
Oh
figuring out
yeah,
how
they
to
have
get
to.
something.
They have to figure out where the exhaust port is on this hyperspace ring so that they can blow it up.
Yeah.
Well, obviously.
Well, the thing is there. We think Thrawn is going to get back, right? Thrawn is going to be the reason that the First Order comes.
Thrawn
rise
is going to
up.
be Dave Filoni's movie, so yes.
Okay, so they're going to return.
Yes.
And it's going to be a fight
Somehow
of Ahsoka and Ezra, Sabine, who knows who else, trying to be able to get back to their galaxy
Luke.
without Thrawn being able to get back. But they're probably all going to get back somehow. Maybe with the Purrgil. I don't know. Or
These and
perhaps
Vong.
Ezra has really communicated with the Purrgil to the point where they would take him if he asked
Yeah.
nicely.
He's like, oh yeah, I come back all the time. I just didn't want to see you guys.
That's
Loyalty
Finally,
program.
I've been
you have
all
to deal with your BS all the time.
I've been at Felucia hanging out with
Shakti.
Ayla
yeah,
Sakura.
Ayla.
A-list.
attachments.
All right. Any other further comments, questions, or concerns?
I,
Oh, we didn't rate it.
like an 8.
8 from John.
Amateur score, 8 out of 10.
Wow.
Yim.
Johnny gave it a
Eight.
good score.
I'd say 7 or 8.
Really?
So my initial
Definitely-
thought was 7.
It wasn't
7.5.
a. It wasn't a 9. It wasn't a 9.
What did we give the first episode? Didn't we give the first episode like
Low.
almost a 9? Like 8.8 or something like that?
Oh, very first one?
John, you weren't here, David. John, didn't we give the first episode like an 8.8 or 8.7, something like that?
The first?
Yeah.
The first 2 together, yeah. It was like an 8, 9.
Yeah, I like this episode more than those first 2, I would say.
I agree.
I'm
don't
gonna
know.
give it a 9. I thought it was really
Yeah.
good. And it was for what it was. I think it was really close to doing exactly what I wanted to do. I mean, John, at the beginning of the episode, or before we started the episode, actually, you had said it didn't give you the story closure of this arc that you were looking for. But when we talked about that last week and said we expected it to close the arc, I pretty much thought exactly this. We're going to get I think I said at the end of our episode last week, we're going to get the bad guys trying to get the good guys fighting at the ship. We're going to get a fight at the map, and then they're going to take off into hyperspace. And that's essentially
right.
exactly what happened.
Yeah, but I
That's
don't like. I was frustrated with how they got there.
really.
I was frustrated that Sabine did the stupid thing she did to get
See,
onto the ship.
Yeah.
I was frustrated that she did it because I wanted her to do the right thing. But I think it was really good for her character development and the interest in
Sure.
the growth of her eventually getting to a point where she will make the right decision. I think
If
that
she's
for the
alive.
storytelling itself, it was the right thing to do for the story. It's frustrating that the character did it because you'd want the character to do the right thing. But if the characters
Yeah.
always do the right thing, they're boring.
Yeah, I was.
So
I didn't.
you always
I
just
didn't
the
I
right
have-
love it. I love it when
I-
characters
Yeah,
are just
Always do the wrong thing.
overpowered.
I was with you, Jake. I thought for sure they were going to find a way. Like they were going to be launched to the new galaxy on their way this episode. But I didn't have a vision for how they were going to do that. So when it happened that way, I was like, man, I wish it had happened a different way. But
I will say that. Go ahead.
But
Sorry,
yeah,
I cut
yeah.
people off.
yeah, no.
The visual effect for that hyperspace ring was pretty sweet when it.
Oh yeah. It's like
That
why
was sick.
why would they stand right in its way? It's like you're just asking for trouble.
They're lucky they didn't get obliterated. More of them.
Well,
I guess 3 of them did.
almost all of them. Well, I thought all
The
of them
unnamed
except Carson
characters.
Teva.
Carson Teva, the Ghost, and one other ship.
Really? I
2
thought
of them
all
did.
them.
3 of
Two
them did.
of them.
3 of them did.
No, there
The
was
Rhodian,
2.
the
3 out of 5.
Rhodian,
Rhodian's
hoping we
gone,
would
man.
see
the lady, and the guy
Yeah,
Yeah,
host.
and
So
there
who
were
was the
5.
there was 2 guys.
Yeah, you
There was 2 guys.
telling us there was 5,
There's
John.
2 X-Men left.
There was 2 guys, a Rhodian
Carson
and a
Teva
lady.
is one of them.
Yeah.
And then
I
the
was
white
hoping
guy.
when we saw Carson Teva that
Oh,
we
sweet.
would see Zeb.
I
Well, it
know.
must mean he's in this. I mean, obviously, he's in his
loser.
own, but if he's not here already, he's not going to be in the galaxy.
They
I just thought that he might have like hopped on the ship with Hera. You know what I mean? Like we might have seen him pop up in the turret gun or something.
Which that's what I
fact-
was telling a friend this weekend. Was I think they may have showed him in Mando to be like,
They did.
hey, he's.
Yeah.
I'm saying the reason they might have,
Oh,
or the reason they did, may have been so they could say, oh, he's over here doing this stuff. He's not with the Ghost crew,
gotcha.
Yeah.
which would be
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah, and that's why when I saw Carson Teva, who he's working
Yeah,
with,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like his leader. I was like, oh, so he's probably with Carson. Maybe not. Maybe he's off. He's on leave. I don't know.
He's
He just
visiting.
doesn't care.
What's it called?
Lasat.
Lasan. They
they-
are the Lasat, but what's their Lasan?
They created their own like planet that they had to go through
Their
a
own
nebula
heaven.
or whatever to get to. Remember?
Yeah.
Well, that was their promised land, basically,
Yeah.
called like Lasan or something.
Where those 4 Lasat are all like repopulating their species.
Yeah, he's busy. He's real busy, man.
He's
Like,
Like
Oh,
Zeb, we
yeah.
need you. You're the
Yadi
You're number
Mundi.
4.
yeah, Kiadi Mundi.
These
Yadi
are have
Mundi
weird
was
eyes
allowed to
again.
have wives
Well,
He had 4 wives because he was the last male of the species.
Imagine a Jedi, a male Jedi's being like, that's what it takes, huh?
That's
Zoom,
no,
zoom,
that's
zoom, zoom,
that's
zoom, zoom,
literally
zoom.
Kiadi Mundi
I'm the
right
last
there.
human. Oh no.
That's Kiadi Mundi. Kiadi Mundi did that.
That's what we just
Yeah, that's
said.
what we're talking
Dave.
Love
about.
Lay off the weed.
I love it.
He's
Anyway,
got Moon
love
Knight on
it.
the mind. He's
All right.
furious that he didn't get his Moon Knight.
this has been the Rogue Podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you for watching. If you have not subscribed already, which I see we did gain 2 subscribers. during
That's
the
what I was
show
gonna
today.
say. I went to check the
So-
email because you said we got
Ooh.
demonetized, which we didn't
Oh, I was totally kidding.
because we were never monetized to begin with.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Blue City Empire Sports.
Blue
Subscribe.
City Empire Sports. Well, thank you, Blue City.
Welcome.
But please be sure to like the video and share it with your friends, and also tell us about your friends. We'd love to hear about them. Any kind of personal information,
Credit card.
whatever. You know, for people
Social
that weren't
Security.
here the first time I accidentally said that, they probably just think we're.
You mean the
weirdest
first like 5 times you accidentally said that?
people. Well, I did it once on accident, and the rest of the time at least I thought.
There was definitely more than once on accident.
anyway.
I agree.
Tell your
But
friends
your
about
credit-
us.
Your credit card info? You said it multiple times.
No, no,
Yeah, you missed it. I had
no.
to,
One time I
maxed
said,
it
"Tell
out.
us about your friends," instead of saying, "Tell your friends about us."
Oh, tell us about you.
Yeah. So ever since then, it's been a running joke where I say, "Tell us about your friends." All right. This is the Rogue Podcast signing off. As always, may the force be with you.
Always.
Now you're saying I can end the stream.
in YouTube.
Yes.
We're not gonna get monetized because Blitzman's our audio. Keep going, keep going. Dun, 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 bam, bada, bam, 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 bada, bam, bam. Ba, 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 bam, ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-da,
So I'm in YouTube Studio. It's streaming.
You just click end. You
Where,
click-
John? Where do I click end?
At the top right, you say end live. Oh, no, it's not in YouTube Studio. It's literally in the stream. You have to click at the top right, click
Bug.
plus,
David, you're still live.
go live.
Too late.
I know. I'm bored though.